Zoom. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much to our alumni for joining for this panel all on college audition, the process, the life during college, the transition from YA to college, life in the real world, quote unquote. Let's go around first and just do some introductions. Who are you? When did you get out of YAA? What are you doing now? Tell us a little bit about your journey, and let's kick it off to Adima first.
Hi, everyone. My name is Adima Essian. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I graduated from YAA in 2016. The last show I did, the only show I did actually with YAA was Children of Eden. I almost was in two other productions, but the time frame of them didn't quite work out. But I recently graduated like 2 weeks ago from college, from the University of Maryland, College Park, with a degree in theater and a minor in arts leadership. And surprise, surprise, going to College Park was not actually originally a part of my college plan. A little bit about me. In high school, my senior year, I did like the complete college audition process, going to Unified, going to college campuses, and I got into a couple of programs. And I just didn't feel like any of them were necessarily quite the right fit. So I ended up going to UMBC, another college in Maryland, in my freshman year, and was in like their BFA acting intended program. And then still within my freshman year, there was a lot of personal things that went on, and just within that program, just not feeling like it was the right fit for me again. So I went through the college audition process again as a transfer student, and actually committed to go to Point Park University, to their conservatory there, as a musical theater major. And then a month prior to leaving for school there, I decided to go to University of Maryland, College Park. So I spent 3 years there, in the theater department there. And now that I am graduated, I am intending to stay here in the DMV, DC area, to work in arts administration. I am currently the alumni engagement intern for YA, but also continuing to audition for projects and shows in the area. So that's about me. And I will pass on to Ian.
Hi guys, my name's Ian. Pronouns are he, him, his. I started YAA in 2017, I think, with The Sound of Music, and I continued till summer 2019 when I did 13, and I did Ragtime, Parade, Les Mis, and Annie Get Your Gun, and I'm now a rising sophomore at the University of Michigan, and that was not always the plan. I went to good counsel for high school, and I was lucky enough to be under the lovely direction of Miss Kristina Friedgen. And I actually went to good counsel to play baseball, and that was kind of what I had my heart set on for most of my life. And then I was lucky enough to be a part of my first musical, which was Titanic, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And from that moment on, I was on a one-way path to becoming a musical theater major, and that's when I joined YAA, and I was just in this incredible community of artists and professionals who love to do what they love to do and share their craft. I've not graduated college yet, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. But yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Ian. We'll definitely talk a lot more about your experience in college this year as we go through the panel. Cheney, how about you?
Hello, everyone. My name is Chani Worley. My pronouns, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Everyone gets my name wrong. It's fine. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am just listening to you guys say when you graduated from YAA, and I'm just like internally cringing. I graduated in like 20. I, I did the inaugural concert. I was there at the very beginning. My last show was Miss Saigon at the Strathmore, which was many, almost 10 years ago at this point. So I studied like engineering. I was like very much like a scientist. My whole family were all scientists. And I did a lot of shows in like high school. And I auditioned to a couple of not shows, a couple of universities. I think I auditioned at Michigan and Carnegie Mellon. I just like didn't know what the college auditioning process would look like. So I auditioned there, I got waitlisted. I ended up going to Michigan for engineering, and I did rent with the student organization Musket. And I was just kind of like, I'm gonna yeet myself out of here. I need to be doing this. I love this so much. And I happened to know the department head at Catholic University. So I ended up transferring to Catholic many moons ago. So I went from like rocket science to music, and it was very interesting. And that's like not what I thought my life was going to be. Very crazy. I graduated college 3 years ago, 4 years ago, three years ago. And I started working professionally, I would say my sophomore year of college, just smaller non-union theaters. And I started working my way up. And I've been working at equity houses in DC. So I've done like, I was at the Folger, I've been at the Kennedy Center, I've done a couple gigs at SIG. I was gonna do hair and that got yeeted out of existence. I worked at Only, Roundhouse, most of the bigger theaters here. I've been very lucky, very fortunate. And I still have some contracts coming up in like from way before at Only. So that and like some concerts here and there. So it's just been like interesting navigating coronavirus and theater as a professional in the professional world. And there was literally nothing, to having to get like another job and like living through that. And then like slowly coming back to theater and like navigating what that's gonna look like. So it's very interesting. And that is my life in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Johnny. So you all come from a little bit of different backgrounds in terms of your journey. Like Ian, like knew from the moment he stepped off the stage in Titanic, like he was going to be a BFA musical theater major. Whereas Adima and Chani, you both sort of went the transfer route and kind of took a moment to find your way. I'm wondering, knowing what you all know now, what advice might you give yourselves or somebody who's in the position of applying or looking at colleges about the application process or the audition process or the decision-making process?
Do your research, know what you're getting into, and prepare. If you can get a coach of someone who is like a professional right now, who is in the room at auditions, like a casting director or something, that is really useful because they know what people are looking for. College admission people are looking for people with potential, but also with like that glimmer of like, this person can go somewhere. And that's what you see in the room at auditions. So it's like picking the right material for you as a person. It's like a lot of colleges have like the cookie cutter, what they want to see. But it's like, you want to go somewhere that will celebrate you and who you are as an artist and not have them like meld you into what they think you should be. That's like not the way to go. I went a very non-traditional route. My school tried to put me into this like very cookie cutter box of like what Asians can do and what white people can do. And I was just like, no, I'm not doing this. So it's like, do your research, talk to people who go there, to go to the university, and just like prepare. You cannot never do too much preparation. You can do too much preparation, but it won't hurt you. It won't hurt you.
Kind of on the other side of that, I chose to go through the college process kind of on my own and without any coaches. I had the mentorship of my vocal coach, Rolando Sanz, but he kind of left it up to me to see what schools I wanted, why I wanted them. I kind of picked my own material. I think what I usually tell people is, why would you go to a coach to pick your own material? Like you're going to sing anything you want, and especially on Zoom auditions, the biggest thing, they're only going to get your personality through your material, and so you really have to find things that show yourself and how unique you are, and at the end of the day, yes, you're auditioning for the school, but you're also trying to find your home for the next 4 years. And and I auditioned for 8 schools, and Michigan was my number one. I did MPulse the previous summer before college auditions, which is the summer intensive at Michigan, which is a 3-week intensive, and I absolutely fell in love with the program and the faculty and all the current students there, and I really felt at home at my audition, and I think I'm just spewing out things. I'm just saying anything that comes to mind. But I do think those college programs really help. It doesn't help you get into the program, but it definitely helps you feel a lot more at home at your audition because you know the faculty, you know what's expected of you, you know where you're gonna sing, where you're gonna do all your material, and it's really helpful. And the best piece of advice that I got during Impulse was from Brent Wagner, who is the former chair of Michigan. And this was my senior quote. I lived by it every day after I heard it. He said, "You can't move forward while looking to the side," which means you can't progress as an individual and as an artist if you're constantly looking around and being like, "Oh, he's better than me. Oh, she can do more pirouettes than me. They're going to get in over me." Like, that doesn't matter. Of course there's going to be people that are better than you. Like, it's one of the most competitive industries in the world. And this college program, like this college process, everyone's going for these Big Ten schools, and there's so much that's not up to you. There's so much that's out of your control. You just have to go into the room and do your own thing. And like, of course, I worried about what people were going to do in the room before me, but at the end of the day, they're really just here to see you, and everyone's rooting for you. And if you go in and do your thing, and then you get out, you just leave it up to fate. And if it works out, it does, and everyone's going to end up where they're going to be. Like, so many of my friends didn't get into their dream schools, but they're so incredibly happy at the programs that they're in. And every program across the country is incredible. They have faculty and staff from all over the industry that know exactly what they're doing, exactly how to get you to your dream, like, job or whatever. So people say trust the process, but really do trust the process. You're going to end up where you're supposed to be. And if it's not your dream school, there's incredible programs out there for you no matter what.
Yeah, I definitely want to echo the nuggets that Chani and Ian both said. I think what I would tell myself way back when, well, isn't that much way back then? It's only been 4 years, but anyway, tell myself my journey is mine alone and everyone's journey is different. And then I also would tell myself that comparison is the thief of joy. Um, because I mean, there were all of these people I was graduating high school with, and like in the different theater programs that I participated in, like within my county, but then also with like YA, who were like doing the college audition process, getting into these like big name schools. And like, I think doing the college audition process like twice and, getting into some middle tier, getting maybe, I guess, into a more top tier school. Like, I wouldn't say that's the end all be all of theater. Going to a college for, like, yes, you are going to a college for training, you're going to a college to network, to get like these specific experiences out of it. But like, if like, I mean, I guess I wouldn't say Broadway is necessarily like my dream anymore, but way back then it definitely was. And I think going to a school for musical theater was the only way that I saw would be the path in order to get there. And I think I would tell myself that like that is not the case whatsoever. And that whatever is meant for me will be for me. And to speak upon like the research and like who's involved in the program, I specifically feel like that is so true, especially as a woman of color. Like, in the times that we are living in and just the experiences that I've had in theater throughout my entire life, I think it's so important to talk to current students for their experiences, alumni of the program for their experiences, know who the faculty are in the program who are going to be nurturing you and mentoring you for the years that you are in college, because um, there's a lot that can happen, because theater is just such a community, and as much as you're spending time in the classroom with each other, there's so much that happens outside the classroom, but like in rehearsals and stuff as well. So yeah, I think that's the advice I would give to myself back then.
I'll add one more thing, kind of going off of that. Something I learned during the whole process is just what Anima was saying. It's such a small community. Everyone knows everyone. And all the freshman admits last year when we were coming into Michigan, we were lucky enough to have a Zoom meeting with Gavin Creel to like tell us his experience about Michigan. And I asked him what was the biggest lesson that he learned from Michigan that he's applied to his life in the industry. And he said, you have to celebrate others' success, which is such a huge part of this industry because sure, people are going to different colleges, but where do you think they go after that? Everyone's going to be in the city, in the same industry, going to the same auditions, and you don't want to be bitter if someone got into a program over you. You have to celebrate that they got into that program. That's incredible for them. They totally deserve that. And if you didn't, that's your journey, and that's fine. But such a huge part of the industry is connections and relationships, and especially during the college process, you're going to meet so many people in those rooms, even in the waiting rooms, people auditioning with you, and it's so important to make those connections and form friendships and bonds. I formed so many friendships during my auditions that I still have today, even if they're at different programs. Um, but yeah, just celebrate other success. It took me a while to finally figure that out, um, but it really changes your outlook on the whole process.
This is that is so important, Ian. That is so freaking important. Being in like once you head out of college and you're in like the professional pool and you're just auditioning for stuff, like 9 times out of 10, your best friend, you're probably going to be playing for the same exact type, the same exact role, all this stuff. There are only so many roles that you could be going for. And it's like, sometimes you don't get it. Sometimes they get it. Sometimes neither of you get it. Sometimes you get like different shows. And it's like, you can only be happy as long as you are focusing on your journey and celebrating others and uplifting them through their own journey. Because it's like, what did you say, Dima? You said like comparison
I
is
say
the
comparison is the thief of joy. Like that is a quote that is like tried and true, ringing true to me this year. Oh my gosh.
it is. It's true. It's true. And that's also like once you're in New York, it's like there are so many people. There are so many people. Even in like DC, it's like there's only so many theaters, only so many roles, and you have all your friends who are like vying for the same exact things that you're going for. It's very difficult to like feel comfortable in yourself, and it's like something you just kind of have to like get over. But like allow yourself to feel joy for other people's success instead of feeling as though you have failed. It's very important. It's something you carry into like the real world too. Not that college isn't the real world, but into the outside world, I would say.
Thank you all for these extremely thoughtful responses. There's so many threads that we just kind of touched upon, so I want to get us to something about choosing the right material, but before we get too far away from it, Adima, you brought up sort of the current events of the world we're living in and how that is related, especially with your identity as a Black woman, and finding the right community. This is something, I'm also in school right now, getting my graduate degree, and this is something in terms of anti-racist practice, more inclusive practices. Lots of colleges are navigating that process. So what aspects of DEI should students be looking for? Or what questions do you recommend students ask as they're trying to find that right college home for them?
Okay, well, I'll just speak upon like a broad spectrum, and I feel like all of these things can apply to like a BFA program or a BA program or a BM program, like whatever type of theater or music program you're trying to look into. But one of the questions I would empower people to ask is just like what type of shows they do at their school, because in many schools that I looked into and also the school that I just graduated from there was a trend of doing shows that depicted Black pain. And this is an interesting term that I learned in one of like these a theory class I took like this past year, but essentially celebrating entertainment, which is like using the pain of Black stories for entertainment, which honestly was very detrimental to my college experience at time, between both the universities that I went to, um, and then also hearing stories about like friends who ended up committing to the school I thought I was going to go to, asking them like how diverse the faculty is, or just looking into how diverse the faculty is, because I know one of the reasons why I was so drawn to UMD is that there was a, a head of performance that was a Black man, and that is not common at all. And Scott Reese, the head of performance, has now become such a good friend and mentor to me, and he helped me so much through my college experience and just like navigating how I want to be perceived as a Black woman. Um, in terms of like auditioning for musical theater programs, I think it's pretty evident when you see the banners that college theater programs produce every year with who's committed to their school, and you see no one that looks like you. It's, I mean, I would like to say it's like, oh, this demographic didn't necessarily audition for this program, or A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But I mean, I feel like the proof is in the pudding. And I think you, as a person of color, you need to go where you're celebrated and not where you're going to be tokenized. And I think talking to students, you're probably gonna get the 411 on what the actual experiences is upon that. And then also I would say to look into the curriculum, because I think what I spent a lot of my senior year doing at UMD was, so the program there is a BA program, a Bachelor of the Arts program. And within that, it's a liberal arts education. So we're required to take design classes and theory classes and performance classes. So just to make us a well-rounded theater artist, as they like to say. But within the theory classes that we were required to take within our curriculum, it was only required to take these white Eurocentric theater history classes. And there were so many upper level Black theory theater history classes, Asian like theater history classes, Middle Eastern theater classes that were not required within our program. And like within the height of like the Black Lives Matter movement like last summer, and then just seeing what sort of statement our department produced, it became pretty evident that me, the student body, I was a part of this student council this past year called the Undergraduate Theater Artist Society, but we really were empowered to start a petition and really start a town hall series to really fight, not, well, I wouldn't say it was necessarily a fight, but it was a very like thorough conversation of like, why is our curriculum set up to be this way? And why are we required to only take classes that center whiteness and no other classes that celebrate all the diversity that we have in our program? So that was a really long tangent. But to say the least, now it's a requirement within my program specifically to take an upper level class within like Black theater performance, Asian theater performance, like it's a requirement now. But I would say, coming from the upbringing of theater that I grew up in, I had no idea the history of that. That was even a thing until I got to college. So I guess this goes back to advice to give to my younger self, but I think that is so important for you to learn about within theater, to know the spaces that I'll just speak to myself as like a Black woman, know how much African American aesthetics and styles have influenced the entertainment industry, because I had no idea. And also know the spaces that we weren't included, many people of color were not included in back in the day and now, unfortunately, and sort of figure out how you can be an advocate to change that. So yes, I think that's all I want to say upon that right now.
Thank you so much, Adima, for that really thoughtful answer. Jamie has entered our waiting room, so I'm going to bring her in for just a moment, and then we'll let her introduce herself and get back to our conversation. Hello. Um, Welcome, Jamie. We've been in conversation for a little bit, but I wonder if we can pause for a moment and let you introduce yourself.
Yes, I am so sorry. This is very unlike me. I did not change. I totally responded to the email saying that 2:30 worked for me and then did not change the event to my calendar. So
That is
yeah.
okay. Those things happen. But we're glad you're here now. So, would you mind just telling us your name, a little bit about maybe the shows you did at YAA, and give us a summary of where you are now?
Yes, hold on, let me get my name change in here. But yes, I'm Jamie Joanne Waldorf. I ended at YA in 2014, and oh, which show? I did a wide variety of shows. I can never remember all of them, but Songs for a New World was the last one that I did. Madama Butterfly, Miss Saigon with Shawnee. A couple of the summer institutes here and there. I think Martyrs was a show that I did. Requiem sounds like a show that I did. That there's probably like another one. Oh, Phantom of the Opera. Yeah, I think that might have been all of them, but I could have missed one there. I did like basically. Well, once I learned about YA, I tried to do all of them that I could.
And tell us a little bit about where you are now and how you got there.
Yes, so I currently am the onboarding coordinator at the New York Times. So I got to there basically when I went to college at Northwestern University. I studied theater and sociology, but I knew that I didn't want to be a performance major. So I went to school actually wanting to do directing in theater. I took one directing class and then I was like, just kidding, don't want to do directing. So then I focused more on arts administration. Basically throughout college, narrowed that down to, okay, I want to do producing for the commercial theater. That's the part of arts administration that I'd want to do. So then interned for a Broadway producer in college. And then after college, worked for a Broadway producer for about a year and a half. Ended up co-producing a show on Broadway through that office. So I guess I got that opportunity very quickly after school. But then I think I was ready to try something outside of the arts. And also because I had gotten that experience so early on co-producing, I kind of came to the realization that I could be involved in Broadway and producing without working a 9-to-5 job in a producer's office. So I was interested in HR because I knew that it brought a lot of the administrative skills that I was doing at the producer's office, but it was more people oriented and kind of, it's a bit hard to have a culture in a producer's office that's like 5 people. So I was interested in going to a bigger company, and the New York Times job just happened to come along. So that's how I ended up in human resources at the New York Times, but I do still involve myself in producing outside of work, and am also co-producing an off-Broadway musical that should be opening this fall. So that's what I'm up to in a nutshell.
Awesome. Congratulations. So I want to get back on track with our conversation. We earlier we had talked about, especially Chani and Ian, you mentioned finding the right material and going out and finding it for yourself. So as somebody who does coach college auditions on occasion, that's something, particularly with regard to monologues, less so songs, that students often come to me and are like, I don't know how to find a good piece. Like what? And then I've had other colleagues of mine who coach a student all the way through their process, and then that student's like, well, I didn't like any of my rep, and they don't tell the teacher that in the process. So how might you navigate or recommend finding rep material, and also navigating those conversations when you feel like, if you do have a coach, maybe you're not resonating with the material?
Do you want to talk? I can talk. Do you want to talk? I'll talk. Okay. I mean, I haven't done that in a very long time. I can probably liken it more to like auditions and how you choose rep for auditions, like making your book. I mean, I have the luxury of being able to say, like, when we had auditions in normal times, go see shows, see which playwrights you like the best, whose voice really resonates with you as an artist, find the scripts, read the scripts, pick out a monologue or two, or like oftentimes you're not going to find a monologue, cut the dialogue in between and just like use it as your beats. I don't know. It's, you have to do a lot of reading, a lot of finding the material yourself. You have to just like, I went to a lot of used bookstores and I just bought plays, people who I had never heard of. Or it's like, if I heard a new show that I liked, I would reach out to like Lauren Gunderson or Aaron Posner. I would like, you can like reach out to them and say, hey, I love this script. If you know them, or if you have like someone who does know them, say like, I love this script. Is there any way you have it? Blah, blah, blah. Can I take a look at it? Like it's difficult, but it's like a lot of legwork that you have to do by yourself. And it's like, if you're working with a coach, I worked with, when I was auditioning for something at the Folger, I was in a show at Roundhouse with Tanya Beckman, who was lovely. And she suggested this, it was like, I forget what they were doing, but it was some lovely Shakespeare show. And I had picked something out and we looked at it together, and I looked at her and I was like, I don't really like this. Like, do you know something that like it might be better fit for me? And it's like, also, she's done millions of Shakespeare plays and she knows the reps so well. She's been doing it for years. So it's like just pulling stuff out of their books to say, here's something that I used to do when I was your age, or here's something that like could work for you. It's like someone who knows the material really well, better than you, who can help you through like understanding the material, who can help you through like picking something that will work for the show and for you going into the show at the same time, was really helpful. So it's like using people who you know, and then I guess in high school you don't really know that many people, so I don't know how that would translate to college auditions. But I'm sure you're like, if you had a vocal coach, like Philando knows everyone. Philando knows, he would have been like, yeah, ask this person. Sure, yeah, I know this person. I'm sure, you know, Kristina, you know people. So it's like using all your resources, people who know more than you, to help bolster you. And from there, when you're given all of the resources and you can see what you have on the table, you can say, I like that and I want to do this. Will you help me make this work in my voice and in my body? Is how I tend to approach things.
I think it's also really important to find someone that knows you as a performer really well. Like Miss Friedgen has helped me with multiple auditions, and because she'd seen me progress as an actor throughout all of high school, so she knew me really well. And I think, especially for college auditions, you have to find a monologue that speaks to you as an individual. Kind of a funny story with my Michigan audition. I was about to go in the room. I was literally waiting outside, and my monologue was focusing on my mom. It was like, we don't have to go into it, but it was like me talking to my therapist in my monologue about my mother. And I was about to go in, and I was like, what if I made it about my dad? And I completely changed the monologue because that was something more personal to me, and it connected with me more. And I went in the room, and Vince Cardinal, who's the chair, said, well, we prepared 2 monologues, and he asked if I could do one that was the most personal to me. And I did that monologue, the monologue that I changed my objective and the person I'm talking about for, and I just felt so connected, and so it was so personalized to me. And I think even if you have to change some things around in your monologue to fit it to your personal needs, like, they're not gonna know. And if you just show yourself and your personality, they're gonna love it. And kind of just talk about songs real quick. People always ask me like, oh, what about the do not sing list? I don't think there's a do not sing list. Like, if you like a song, sing it, and sing it better than anyone else. That's what I sang Goodbye and What Is It About Her and Younger Than Springtime, which are like some of the most overdone songs in musical history, but I love them and I enjoyed singing them, so I went in and sang them for all of my auditions, and it was a blast. I think, not to go back to college auditions, but at my first audition, it was at Pace, and I was waiting outside the room, and we were all really nervous, as you are in most auditions, and the current students were talking to us, and they were like, if you break it down to a really basic level, you're just going into a room and singing music theater for people who love music theater. It's a beautiful thing about auditions, which kind of sucks about Zoom auditions this past year, is you're just sharing your art with people, and to be in the same room and have the opportunity to go in and work with these professionals and get their feedback, and it's just such a unique opportunity. And to go to all these different schools across the country and see where you would fit, it's really amazing. And yeah, I don't know, just it's tough to find material. I was told to go through like all the musicals that won best Tony, and then see all the musicals that they were up against in the categories and research all those shows too, even with plays too, and to find amazing monologues. It doesn't really help to go online and be like, best male monologues, 17-year-olds. Like, you're not going to find a lot, and everyone's going to do those. But yeah, definitely a lot of research goes into it. I wish I did more research on my monologue, but that little change that I did really helped me. So the more personal, the more connected you can get to the material, the better.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chani.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, the do not sing list. I have a small anecdote. I sang Spark of Creation for my first Wicked audition, and I got a call back. They don't care. If you go in and you sound banging, they're gonna be like, wow, this person is great. Probably not the best choice of song, but like, wow, what a voice. Like, they're not gonna care. If you sing the F out of a song, you get a call back, they will get you in with the material, and that's what they want to hear. They want you to get into the door, get to the point where you can start singing their material, and then they'll see like what they want. And that's also true for college. It's like, if you just get in the door, they have 4 years to see what you can do, to unpack like who you are as a person and like where you are going to be in any form of theater. Like, who cares what other people think? Who cares? Not
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, those lists I think are more for the adjudicators who are like, I don't want to hear 25,000 corner of the skies, especially when half of them will not be very good. But if you are like, but I do the greatest corner of the sky, it will come through for sure. Let's pivot out of performance majors for a second. Adima and Jamie, you both kind of charted more of an arts administration track through school. So I don't know how many students might understand what arts administration is. I know when I was going to college, I was like, I will be an actor or a theater teacher. And quickly I was like, wow, I don't like acting as much if I have to make my livelihood off of it. So tell me a little bit about your journey and what that is for you now.
Oh, do you want to go, Jamie?
Go ahead, Adima.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel like so first let's break down what arts administration is, at least for me. So theater, right? It takes a lot to run theater. Okay. There are the people on stage, there are the people backstage, there are people who sell the tickets, there are people who organize the audience coming in, there are people who fund the productions, there's the director, there's the choreographer, there's a lot. Like, theater is such a multi-faceted, yes, that's the word I'm looking for, like, art form and industry. So I think for me, I feel like I'm just a person who wants my hand in a lot of things. Like, yes, I still love performance, and I, dabble in that, and very much still like did that in college. But I think arts administration for me, it's sort of, I guess I found that to be something that I was interested in, because once upon a time, wow, I was a double major in college. Actually, when I first transferred to UMD, I was a theater and a communications major. It's a lot of credits. Honestly, I would recommend just doing one major in college, but that's a side conversation. But UMD sort of formed this minor called arts leadership, right? And within that minor, there were these classes where you learned about like how museums are run, because that's a place that holds art and stuff like that. And then also another class I had to take in the minor series was an internship. So the internship that just happened to fall into my lap was working with YAA and developing their alumni engagement program. And me and my type A brain that in high school did like NHS and SGA and all those things, and I was very like detail and task oriented, I was just like, oh, okay, arts administration, connecting people, that's something that I like to do. Talking to people who like theater or the arts, that's something I like to do. So I would say, like, I feel like I'm not entirely answering the question, just speaking about my experience, because I honestly am not quite sure that I'm just entering the world of arts administration right now. Like, I'll say, in my experience in college, I just really just threw myself into anything. Like, I worked in the box office at like UMBC. I was an usher. Worked in the box office for a summer, like with a theater in Baltimore. I was a summer camp counselor at like with a children's theater organization. And then after, like in my later years of college, I started doing more like project management oriented things. And I feel like that's where I've like fallen into what I do with arts administration, like developing like programs. One was with like a organization based in Washington, DC, and then now with YA, of course. But I think arts administration is essentially just the behind the scenes. And I honestly think it's a really cool way to still be not be adjacent, but be in the arts. Because I mean, arts is in the title. Hello. You're still working with people who honestly, a lot of people were like performers when they were younger, and now they're doing arts administration. You get to hear like what they're doing with their life, and it's a lot of fun. So I guess that's how arts administration fell into my lap. I was sort of like, yeah, I like performing, but this also isn't it. And then also like a very big passion of mine in this past year has really become advocacy. Well, I mean, I feel like that's always just been something that I've been passionate about, but especially within this past year. And I think arts administration, and I would say also being a theater artist, I think it is very important to, you have to be your own advocate, but also you have to advocate for others. But at least being on the arts administration side and like, I guess more so being in control of what's happening, that's the pipeline in order to change things, like in my mind, I guess, or suggest new ways to implement things. So yeah.
Honestly, I don't have that much to add to what Adima said, because I feel like I was in a similar boat. I think in high school, I ran our theater honor society, and like you would always find me in our theater room. And people, even like some people who didn't know our department well, they thought like they would walk into the room and thought I was the teacher. A lot of people thought I was a teacher because I looked really old in high school. I look about the same as I do now, to be honest. So I think for me, it was like I was kind of always leading a lot of things, just because that's my, I don't know, natural tendency to want to control things. Look at that in good and bad ways. I was always interested. I did some box office work like Adima. So I think if you're someone who you like performing, obviously everyone who does YAA enjoys performing, I would hope, that you could, since you're involved in YAA. But if you see yourself wanting, being interested in a lot of things, being interested in like marketing or box office work, or one day becoming like an artistic director of a theater company where you're shaping the season and hiring people and running your own company. Like, I think that is something that's really exciting, and there's just a lot more jobs in the arts. There's like so many, I won't go into all of them now, but just like take a look at what's out there. There's different jobs based on whether a theater is a nonprofit theater, so that's something like Arena Stage or the Kennedy Center, or Woolly Mammoth, all these theaters in DC, or something that's a commercial theater endeavor, so that's Broadway, a lot of the touring houses around the country. So different jobs depending on which kind of route of theater, but they have similar things. And I think a lot of people that I talk to, they just kind of don't realize that, oh, like I could do that in theater. Like I didn't know, I thought marketing was for like Pepsi, like, yes, theater needs marketing to have people buy tickets. So there's just like so many other jobs that you kind of think of performance and then the backstage tech people that run the actual shows, but there's so much other stuff in the infrastructure of everything that you can make a living doing if that's something you want to do. So just explore it. And I know it's not talked a lot in high school. So yeah, just go and see what might interest you.
Exactly, and I think so many of our students would find that a fulfilling career too, and just don't know about it or that it exists. I want to transition back for a moment to like life in college. Ian, since you are currently in college, you want to talk to us a little bit about the transition from high school. And I know it's been an unusual year with COVID to be your freshman year, but even still, what advice would you have in that transition?
Yeah. So for most of us this year, we went straight to living in apartments on our own. So we didn't get the dorm experience, having a meal plan and not having to worry about getting your groceries or paying bills. But no, we were sent right into that, which was interesting. I lived right above a Panera and a Qdoba, which was really dangerous because I went there like every morning. But on the like academic side, I was never too big on like academic classes like chemistry or algebra. I was not my favorite, and I looked forward to going to rehearsal every day. I was like, oh, got to get through the school days so I can go and perform because that's what I wanted to do, and that's the beauty of a BFA program or a BA program, being able to take classes that you love and just to be around these people who also love what you love. And the great thing about Michigan is it's a conservatory style training in a university setting. That's like their big thing. So 25% of our classes have to be in the university, and we have to take academic classes. So first semester I took an African American culture course, which was incredible, and I got such a different view of the world than I would have gotten in a conservatory, because I would just be taking singing and dancing classes. And I took a class last semester, a sociology class on police brutality, and there's just so many incredible opportunities that you're presented in college, and you can take anything you want. You have your requirements, of course, like your English classes or your language, but it's really exciting to be able to go out and do anything you want. Like this coming semester, I'm taking guitar classes. I can take drum. I can do anything I want. I've also really discovered a lot about myself as an artist. Like I love performing, absolutely, but I've been getting really into sound engineering and orchestrating and writing music, and everyone in college, they have those same interests. Like not everyone in a BFA program is set on being a performer. There's so many different paths you can take with this degree, and there's so many classes you can take. I'm a music composition minor as well as a music theater major, and all of my professors are so supportive of everything that I want to do because there's so many opportunities. And that's not just at Michigan, that's at almost every program I know across the country, and it's so amazing. And there's so many connections that you can make of people in those aspects of the industry that you want to have. Like sure, they'll connect you to performers, but I was just connected with a Broadway orchestrator who makes all the tracks for like the showcases at Michigan, who's incredible. But yeah, it's a much different life than high school, but it's really, really exciting. I would say it's a lot less work. I was not expecting the amount of free time I had, especially being at home all the time, and going from like my bed at 8:58 to my ballet class in my kitchen on my I have it using my bar as my as my kitchen island as my bar. But the biggest thing is you have to use that free time to become the best performer and individual as you can. And I think a lot of my learning definitely happened in the classroom, but I think a vast majority of it happened on my own and kind of experimenting with the tools that I was given, especially with composition and orchestrating. I would just like sit at my computer for hours and play with everything, which was really exciting. And yeah, the people there are just so amazing, and you're gonna find your own little community in college of people who have the same interests and passions and drive as you. And maybe it may take a little bit. It took me a while to find my people. I found them like the last few weeks of school. But once you do, it's really a special thing, and everyone experiences that, I think.
Thank you, Ian. You mentioned opportunities, and I know Jamie, you mentioned an internship that you got out of college really helped you onto your career path. Would you mind talking a little bit more about internships in general and that one experience specifically and towards getting you towards your career?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think internships are an amazing opportunity for students to just learn about something that they're interested in. It's not you're not signing your life, right? You're there for 3 months, maybe a little bit longer if it's during the school year. It's a good way to make contacts at a company and make a good impression if you do a good job, and just learn about the work that someone is doing. I know that internships in the arts notoriously don't pay, so if that's not something that is within your wheelhouse, I totally get that. So is hopefully a push for arts internships to be more paid, and you're compensated well. And I think if you go to kind of the New York City area, all the big offices, they're tending to pay at least minimum wage these days. So maybe look there, or maybe look at some of the more established institutions. They tend to pay their interns more. The internship that I got was with a Broadway producer, Daryl Roth. And I got that. I actually had turned down an internship at the time. I had gotten a different internship in Chicago in development. So that's like fundraising for Steppenwolf. And I was like, oh, this seems like a really good internship. But I knew in my head that I was interested in commercial theater. But at the time, I actually hated New York. I did not want to live in New York. But I said, okay, maybe I should give New York another chance and try to find an internship there. So I ended up turning down Steppenwolf with no plan, like nothing else lined up, but ended up getting the Daryl Roth internship, and I got to work on some productions that she had in development, a new musical that's actually coming to fruition, I think this year. It was postponed because of COVID, but that ended up happening at the time that I was in her office. She had Indecent on Broadway, the play. So really just a great experience all around. And I think if anyone, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of priorities of what you want to do. Maybe you need to get a job, maybe you need to, work on your book or something. But if you do have the opportunity to get an internship, I would definitely recommend. And in terms of arts internships, I think something that I run into is a lot of artists will submit their artistic resume for arts internships. So just know that a lot of these administrative internships, they're going to expect you to submit a professional resume, which basically is like a normal resume you would submit to like a job that's not even theater related. So it's like what you're doing, what you did at the job, all that stuff in the experience. I actually tend to run into a lot of artists who they'll submit their acting resume to a administrative role. So just know that that's not what they're looking for, and you will definitely be better served to just prepare your resume, prepare a nice cover letter, and even though it's a lot of work, just like take a look at the job, try to tailor both the resume and cover letter to the job. And because it's working in HR, it's actually really obvious when people are just copying and pasting over and over. So that's my sage advice to students trying to get internships.
That is excellent advice. Chani or Adima, are there any other opportunities that were available when you were at university that you felt like helped you on the road, whether that's summer stock auditions or mentorships or other sorts of opportunities that you'd like to touch on?
I can say like what like really sparked my interest, like, or just I'll just say what showed me like I can be an artist but also do arts admin. Oh goodness. Was it after my sophomore year? Was it after my junior year? Time is a blur. But anyway, once upon a time, I think it was Ooh. Anyway, I was an acting intern for Infinity Theater Company. I just don't remember what summer it was.
What did you
It
do as an
it
acting?
was after my sophomore year of college. Sorry. I'm there because last summer was COVID. I was at home all summer last summer. So I know I was so confused. But anyway, as an acting intern, so Infinity is like a smaller equity house. Like they're a husband and wife couple from New York. They come down in the summer, they produce shows in the Annapolis area. But anyway, As an acting intern, I like understudied people in their productions for the summer. Yes, they also produced Dames at Sea on Broadway, produced Pippin on Broadway, whatever. Um, but yes, for that summer, I studied a role in the Fantastics, and then also as an intern, um, we got to perform our own cabaret. But also within that, I like mentioned to them that I had all of these skills. This was after I like spent like I had two different experiences, like working in a box office, just like when people come up and handing them their tickets, or like finding their name in the system and handing them their tickets, and they're like, oh, you know how the box office works. So they literally just as because I was just understudying the production, they just handed me the role of being the box office leader for that summer while the Fantastics was happening, because the box office manager happened to be in the show. It's a very interesting company how they work. But anyway, long story short, I will say being thrusted into that, and then also like I got to create a promotional video for the Fantastics because they did some like immersive theater seating arrangement for that show. So I created a marketing video with the other interns, and I like edited the playbill on like Adobe. So I was just like thrown into all of these different sort of like task, and I was like, wait a minute, this is at a theater company, but I am still acting, but I'm also doing these like task oriented admin things. What if I can make a career out of this? So I will say my biggest piece of advice is just telling people what you're interested in, because there is someone who can point you to like this person if they're not like directly the best like point of contact for you, or they'll find you something to do within what you were originally asked to do in the company. Like I was originally asked to be an acting intern, and yes, I still did that, but I also did admin work. So I will say, yes, that was a really cool experience within my college time that I got to do. But then also, just if you're thinking about staying within the DC area, or just happen, I mean, like Catholics in the area as well in DC, but there are a lot of theaters within DC that offer like apprenticeships for college students, and like Jamie was saying, a lot of them are unfortunately not well paid, but if you are available to do those, it is honestly just a really good learning experience in order to just see what you want to do in the arts. And a lot of these apprenticeships, some of them are like in development, some of them are in fundraising, some of them are in just teaching in like youth programs that theaters will have. But I will say, depending on where you're choosing on going to college, there may be a lot of other things outside the classroom that you can find yourself getting new experiences in. So yeah.
I think a wonderful thing that you kind of touched on but did not name was networking. Huge, huge thing. I started networking very early on in college because I was in DC and I was around all the theaters, and like a lot of my friends were a little older, so they were all working professionally. So yes, that's April. Don't thank me. But like I didn't get a lot from my school. I didn't get a lot of opportunities from my school that I felt were challenging. And the program is very different now. But like speaking as me, myself in that time underneath that department head, I was not challenged. I didn't enjoy college. I hated college. So I looked for opportunities outside of my school, which brought me to like auditioning all around the theater world in DC, mostly non-act, non-union stuff, because I knew that I wasn't ready for the union stuff. So I found myself working slowly more in like the non-union world. And in like DC, it's like you work non-union, you work your way up. for like the smaller theaters up to like your first big equity contract. You get seen, and from there you can really branch off anywhere you really want to go if you have the drive and people like you and all that stuff. But it's like a lot of it was like going to see shows, going to like happy hours and like meeting people, or saying like, hey, like you're gonna go to that show, or like, hey, my friend is in this show, I'm gonna go to the show, like are you guys hanging out afterwards, like can I just like meet some people? And it's just like bringing you as yourself into those spaces so that when you get into the audition room, someone goes, oh my God, hey, you're great. And then you perform and they're like, oh my God, you're also really talented, that's amazing, we would love to have you. And it's like so much of acting and like working professionally is people wanting to be in a room with you for 8 hours a day. I mean, it's like that, or like if it's on a tour, it's like you're going to be with those people for literally 24/7. And like if you're going to be not fun to be around, or if you just have bad vibes, they're not going to hire you just from the get-go. If you have bad vibes, unless you're like the star of stage and screen, they're not going to make the sacrifice to have someone who has bad vibes on their team when they're working with you for like a month straight to put up a show, which you then have to work through. Like there's so many things that go into that, but like networking is so important. Started early. The reason why I am at the place that I am in my career is because I started so early. It took me like, I mean, it's been 5 years at this point for me to get to be consistently working at bigger equity theaters here in DC. And like, granted, only a few of those years were out of school. So it's like, makes sense. But it's like, because I started so early, people who graduated at the same time as I did have not even like begun to break into this theater world. It doesn't have to say people have not, but it's like, the more that you can get yourself out there just as a person to meet people, the better, I would say. It's just like, also it's fun. Meeting new people is fun. So that's all I have on that.
Thank you so much. This is an excellent array of opportunities. I want to have us close it out, but as sort of last words, I want to give anyone an opportunity to say anything that they had wanted to say that maybe we didn't get around to talking about. And I know Ian has somewhere to be, so I'm going to let you go first if you can think of anything, and then we can sort of popcorn it from there.
I mean, now if anyone has questions, people who are watching this, just shoot me a DM or an email. I would love to help out. A bunch of kids who auditioned this year were asking me like about Michigan or other programs or about the audition process, and I would love to help anyone out. It's a really, really fun process. I hope it's in person this year. I'm not sure if it is. It would really suck if it wasn't, but make the most of it if it is. But it's a really special thing, and yeah, I'm always here if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Ian.
I think for me, it's just to, it's okay to not have things figured out. Who's watching this? Like 15-year-olds, 15 to 18?
15 to 18, yeah.
Yeah, it's, I'm 24 going on 25. A few years older. I guess if you're 15, I'm almost 10 years older than you. And I still am trying to figure out what's going on. You're going to kind of look around your life and everyone else is going to seem like they have it all figured out and put together. But I guarantee you that everyone else is just also figuring their stuff out. And you might, go into college thinking one thing. And even if you stick with that thing, there's going to be pivots. There might be a pandemic. I don't know, like hopefully there's not another one. But, there's just like a lot of things that are out of your control. And it just is up to you how you I think respond to that. And yeah, I think you would ask anyone today, no one's career journey is linear these days. It's got its twists and turns. So it's okay to not know what you want to do, or if you do know what you want to do, it's okay to change your mind later.
That's an excellent point. Thank you, Jamie.
I was just gonna say, especially just knowing what the college audition process was for me, is to everyone listening to this, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and you will end up exactly where you're supposed to be. You may not see it. I know for myself, it took like 3 times kind of for me to figure out where I was supposed to be, but you will figure it out for yourself, and it may be rough going through it, but it will be so worth it in the end. And if it ends up not being the experience you wanted it to be, you will learn from it and you will become stronger from it.
Thank you so much, Adima. Self-care is so important. Go ahead, Chani.
I guess I would say I feel like you guys put it so eloquently. I will say I am the oldest person. I mean, Kristina, obviously you're my age, so it's fine. I'm 26. You look great. But it's like, as one of the older people on this panel, I've been through a lot. I've seen a lot. I've seen my career go in a lot of different directions. I've had to work through a lot also as like a queer woman of color. There's a lot there. There's a lot of like working against people who may not have your best interest at heart. And truly, most people do. But they're going to be like those ones and twos who like will actively be working against you to make you feel not good about yourself, or like try to hurt you or your career. And it's like, it may feel like the world is ending and everything sucks. And like you have no place in this culture and this space that you have loved for your whole life, or for however long you've loved. And it's just, I'm telling you, it's like you're just not in the exact right space. Maybe it's ships passing, but it's like I've been fired before wrongfully. I've been fired wrongfully before. Like I had to go through a whole thing with that. Like I've had to rebuild my career from something that happened. It's like my career has taken so many twists and turns, and I'm only 26. Like I still have so much more time to continue to build my life, that it's like anything that's happening to you right now, I understand it might suck so bad, but there will always be time after that, and time after that, and time after that, to learn more from what happened to you, and to take what you've learned and use it on the next time something like that might happen to you, or the next time you see something wrong happening, and you having the courage to say, hey, that's not cool, like you should stop. It also goes for anything anti-racism, all that stuff. I work on an IDEA team at my job. It's like so much of what happens in this world is up to you and what you choose to do and what you choose to put into action. And it's like, that's also like actioning those things again on yourself, and not holding anything against yourself. Like the bad thing that happens to you may not be your fault. Maybe you have some culpability there, but it's like, keep moving forward. I didn't get into any of my musical theater schools. I went to a middle tier musical theater school that I didn't like. I had to actively work against my faculty to get any type of, education that I wanted. Once I got out of there, I worked with a director who actively tried to burn my career down to the ground. Like, just keep going. Then the coronavirus, like, just keep going. You have so much life to live and so much time to build upon your career and build upon your life. And there's more to life in this than your career too. There's so much, speaking as just like an old person, I guess, there's so much in life to experience. And if you have to take a break from theater, I took a 6 to 8 month break, and best believe I came back at the Folger Theater. I had a full year. I had no breaks. I came back after 6 months. I worked at the Folger, I worked at the Kennedy Center. I did Little Shop of Horrors. I went straight into Roundhouse, and then I went at First Stage. Like I had an entire year and a half of no time off. And it's just like, take the time to be good to yourself, and don't feel that anything is the end. Nothing is the end. Nothing is the end. There's always something beyond there that you can know is coming for you.
As the actual oldest person on this call, I can second all of that. Thank you all so much for your time today and your wonderful insights. This has been such a valuable conversation, and I'm so glad you could all be here. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Alrighty, bye everyone.
Bye.